San Francisco has long supported the transgender community. In 2017, the city created the first transgender cultural district around Compton's cafeteria. And in 2024, San Francisco was named a transgender sanctuary city. But as Lauren Toms reports, recent federal and citywide budget cuts are straining support services.
For Cherry Javier, San Francisco has showed what life can be like for the transgender community.
We're really lucky to be surrounded by community, to have a rich legacy of activism, of cultural innovation, and so we have that to lean on. On the other side, it's this total different world outside of San Francisco that is definitely creeping in.
She says she's stayed here, building a family despite the high cost of living because of a unique access to community, to health care, and to services. But ongoing budget cuts have put a strain on that system.
Housing, gender affirming care, all of these things are being threatened. And it's hard because we're just approaching budget season again. And so a lot of the cuts aren't really going to be known for a few more months.
San Francisco's first of its kind Office of Transgender Initiatives has had to make tough decisions in recent years, leading to a downsizing of its office and cutting several staff positions as departments citywide have been asked to slim down in the face of a nearly $1 billion budget deficit. Internal letters shared with CBS News Bay Area warn that the impact is being felt beyond staffing.
So what we see here in San Francisco, they're saying that they can't support the transgenders is because of the budget deficit that they're hitting on. But also what I see here is that transgenders are not profitable anymore. They haven't been able to get the federal funding anymore like they did before in the previous administration. And then what we see is that they can't get any money for these people. So these people, if you want to continue to be transgender, that's your choice. That's absolutely your choice. Pay for it. The thing that I don't like about this transgender movement is they say they want to be trans. That's fine. Then pay for it. If you want to do it with your money, that's your prerogative. But I don't understand why tax-paying citizens' dollars need to go to support transgenders. That's the biggest thing that kind of knocks me off when we talk about this stuff is that they want our money to give them benefits to help them out to do whatever they're trying to do. But also, too, they have to understand that people, the nonprofits and stuff like that, they don't care for transgenders. They care about the money they can get for supporting you. Most of the money that goes to these nonprofits that's supposed to go to transgenders and stuff does not go to transgenders. It goes to their pockets. This is why I go back to my previous statement. If you want to be transgender, why can't you pay for these things? Why does it have to come from tax dollars? That's my biggest moment, my biggest thing I want to say. I'm not against it. If you want to do that, do it. But if you want to get the hormones, if you want to get the surgeries, if you want to get the health care, if you want to get the whatever grants that you guys get for that, pay for it. I think the reason why the transgender movement is only major is because people can make money off of it. How many nonprofits popped up when the transgender movement started cracking? How many? I think the only reason why the transgender movement got tied up with the LGBT community is because of the money. So now that the money is coming up short, you see what happened in New York. New York hospitals, they're cutting out the funding. You see happening in San Francisco. You're going to see this all across America. You're going to see now that transgenders are no longer profitable. So how many transgenders do we see now? Because what I think is this, being a transgender is not a broke person's activity. If you want to be a transgender, you probably have to have some type of money. I've seen the numbers. Pretty expensive. So I believe that if that's your right, if that's your, not your right, if that's your belief that you are supposed to be the opposite sex when you're not, if that's what you want to be, then pay for it. You ever go to the doctor? Not even go to the doctor. Even if you say you go to the dentist, you go to the dentist, you say, hey man, I want veneers. Use my insurance. And what does the insurance say? That is cosmetic surgery. That is a luxury. If you want to do that, you have to pay for that out of pocket. I think that's the same situation that needs to go to transgenders. They're going to say, that's a luxury. So if that's cosmetic, right? If you want to do that, you have to pay for it. I'm not against anybody that wants to be a transgender and they pay for it out of their pocket. I'll be like, okay, cool. I respect that because you must really want to do it because that's on your dollar. So how can I get mad and say, hateful things at you when you took your hard-earned money and pay for it? But I don't respect transgenders that are trying to come out here and trying to make tax-paying dollars come to them so they can change their body. I think that's where the disconnect is. But what we see in California, we see in New York, we see in these places, you guys are no longer profitable anymore. So that's why the funding's getting cut. That's why the funding's going away. Because obviously we have an administration that does not believe in that, but they don't believe in paying for that, right? Because at the end of the day, it's your prerogative, your right if you want to be transgender, but it's not my prerogative and my right to pay for your things that you want to do for your body. So I definitely understand and I definitely see what's happening. I see that these programs, these hospitals, these nonprofits, they're closing up shop. They're stopping this support because they're not getting the money anymore. So when you see that, that puts it in your mind as, did they really even care about the transgender movement or did they care more about the money?
As a former employee wrote to city leaders that when the office is weakened financially, structurally, or operationally, it's a policy decision with direct consequences for community access, safety, and care. In a statement, the OTI director, Honey Mahogany, tells us, quote, "This is going to be a tough budget season, but we still live in a representative democracy here in San Francisco, and people's voices matter." But the impacts stretch far beyond City Hall. At the San Francisco Community Health Center, CEO Lance Thomas says they've avoided direct service cuts so far, but it's only a matter of months before tough choices will have to be made.
Our role is to ensure that we counter the threats which are existential for the trans community and that we do everything we can to affirm our transgender employees and the communities that their lives matter.
It's a pressure that's intensifying as funding and support for trans services continues to be slashed federally. Last year alone, more than 1,000 pieces of anti-trans legislation were filed nationwide. This year, more than 600 have been filed. Cherry says she understands the tough fiscal realities for the whole city.
I really think it is a necessity that we are able to continue to fund trans organizations, trans programs, even the Office of Transgender initiatives, because they're really doing work for the most vulnerable people.
But says for her community, the consequences could take years to reach.
I don't think that transgenders are vulnerable. I believe that they want to change their bodies, whatever they have in their mind, but that doesn't make them vulnerable. That is a choice that they are making, right? That does not, they're not living a terrible life if they're not trans, right? I just say this. If you want to be trans, spend your own money. I think when we look at everything, look at these issues, and I think that's the reason why you have Democrats that don't like Republicans' way of thinking or conservative way of thinking, because it's very simple. We're not mad and saying you're the devil or whatever because you're trans. We're not saying that, right? What we're saying is, I respect your decision. If that's what you want to do, I'm not paying for it. You pay for it. That's it. If you want to be trans, if you want to go through hormones, if you want to do all of that, pay for it. It's pretty simple. It's pretty simple because what we see now is being trans or transgender, doing that is not a broke person's activity. Because doing that is very expensive and it's costing people like me a lot of money because I'm being a tax-paying citizen. So let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It's always going to keep singing rock, keep it going. I appreciate you guys rocking with me. Tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description below. Monday through Friday, 10:21 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Tap into the No Filter Morning Show. I'm telling y'all, tap in. Even if you're at work, if you're in a truck, semi-truck, whatever, just tap in and just listen. Gems. I appreciate you guys, and I'm out.